Welcome to another Shmoopy Daddy guide experience. My name is Shmoopy Daddy. I'm a monthly Hearthstone Wild Legend player who typically hits Legend first a month, and after that I goof off. When I goof off, I play your decks, and sometimes I make these guide videos, and it's been a minute since I have felt confident enough to sit down and make a guide video. I've been waiting for some people to get back to me as far as collaborating on certain decks. And Galatea, a member of my community and a valued member of my server, was nice enough to sit down as one of the top Treant Druid players on EU. Constantly, she's playing this deck around like top 10, top 5 sometimes. Just sort of did like sat down and did a knowledge dump and didn't want to come on and record games with me. But what I'm hoping she'll do is during the gameplay section of this list, I'm hoping she will like hop into the comments and tell me where I messed up, which could be fun. Because she knows so much more about the deck than I do, and I'm interested to hear like some of her feels on certain plays and certain sequences against certain opponents, whether or not like when you go in, how you bait clears, things along that nature. But I digress. What is Treant Druid? Treant Druid is a druid that makes lots of tiny little 2/2 treants. They're not a real tribe in that they have a designed tag on the bottom of their token. However, you get them together and there are some synergies. We have cultivation, which costs 1 less for each treant that you summon that game. We have aeroponics, which costs 2 less for each treant you control, and overgrown beanstalk, which summons an extra card for each treant you control. And really between overgrown beanstalk and aeroponics and cultivation, the bones of a very strong deck is born. Now, worth noting, the version of the deck that I use tonight is actually even more budget than the usual list. Galatea usually plays with Floop. However, I am on EU, climbing with the deck right now, so I don't have Floop. So what I did was I subbed in a second Mark of the Lotus, because you're going to hear a lot of times when we talk about this guide tonight, breakpoints are the big part of this deck. How much you buy into a board and how much you buff your minions above certain breakpoints, holding back some buffs so that you can sustain your boards, multiple boards over the game, and you don't lose to a single board clear, but also just sort of taking your opponent by surprise with the burst. This deck is very fast. This deck has some great miracle turns. I've really enjoyed this deck in the past when Funnel Cake was 1 mana. I played a profile, a free-to-play profile on EU to Legend with Treant Druid, and then said goodbye to it. Never played the profile again. But it's like super cheap in this version. I'd have to sit down and check out the dust, but it wouldn't shock me if it was like a little less than 1,600 or right around 1,600 dust. Basically the same amount of dust you'd pay for a legendary. You can have a deck that is arguably, if you look at the stats, close to a tier 1 deck, if not a tier 1 deck itself. All right, let's hop right into the guide section. So what we start with is the mulligan. Galatea says in her own words, the mulligans that you want are for seedling, Beanstalk, waveshaping, and aeroponics, and blood treant. However, blood treant you might not want in some hyper aggro matchups. Let's say you're playing against Shadow Priest and you can't afford to play a 5 health 2/2 that's going to get cleared easily. You might hold it back and you might not ever play it. It might just sit and rot in your hand. But against other matchups, you definitely want to tempo this thing out. It's a very powerful card, and it's great tempo. Okay, what's really interesting is the, I have situational keeps, or I have like getting cute with the mulligan after that, typically in my guides, and Galatea has sort of taken that an extra step. She gives like a flow chart. If you have Beanstalk or Aeoponics, you want to keep Witchwood Apple. So that would be Witchwood Apple is typically like it's a kind of a slow version of Forest Seedling. Forest Seedling is slow in and of itself, having to wait until turn 3 basically to get 2 treants, and that's assuming it's been sitting in your hand. Witchwood Apple is, I guess, a little bit faster, but comes with less tempo. You have to pay 1 mana in order to get your 2/2 treants in your hand. So if you have either Beanstalk or Aeroponics, she's saying keep the Witchwood Apple. If you have Blood Treant, keep Floop. We don't have Floop in this list, so that's not relevant specifically to this list, but if you do the full list, I'll include both codes. If you have waveshaping, keep aquatic form. I think that's fascinating. It makes a lot of sense to me. If you play wave shaping, you're tutoring one thing you like, and you're sending two other things down to the bottom of your deck. Knowing that those things might be important to you, having aquatic form held back in the mulligan makes a lot of sense to me to go get those pieces if you want to go get them. Ultimately, we have 2 aquatic forms in the deck. We can have even more with Moonlit Guidance. You might even be able to get everything that you send down there with wave shaping at some point or another. If you have both forest seedlings and Beanstalk, but no coin, you might want to keep Vate so that you can play them both on turn 3. That makes a lot of sense too. So like I have found in the past, turn 1 and turn 2 for this deck are kind of weak plays. You're making a 2/2 or you're making a couple 2/2s. You're mostly doing nothing. The thing really pops off on turn 3. Turn 3, you can drop the Beanstalk. You can start drawing multiple aeroponics, drawing multiple cards, and this is really where the miracle turn happens. Very quickly, the Umbral Owls get reduced to 0, and then sometime after that, usually not on that turn, you start stacking cultivations. What's nice about this list without Floop is we have 2 Marks of the Lotus, so we can drop things and then sort of start buffing them above the important breakpoints, which we're going to start mentioning soon. Other situational keeps she mentions is against turbo aggro, sometimes keep aquatic form and Moonlit Guidance in order to enable swing turns by discounting Umbral Owl and copying it. So you're trying to get as many Umbral Owls as you can against hyper aggro, so you might consider doing aquatic form and Moonlit if you know that that's coming. Okay. Now she starts getting into specific breakpoints in specific matchups. So remember, you're a board-based aggro deck. You have almost no reach from hand aside from the hero power. We're not even running Savage Roar. You really need your board to stick, and so you need to know exactly how many buffs to pour into it without pouring too many buffs and getting beat by a single board clear. So against Paladin, you want to be above 3 health and under 7 minions if possible. That means if you have the option to drop a 6th or a 7th minion, you can, against a Paladin, you might choose not to and just keep it at 4 or 5 and just buff as tall as you can from there. It makes it harder for them to play Showdown Beam against you, and it makes it just harder in general to have Beam reduced down to 0. Against Warrior, you want to have your HP above 5. If not possible, to be above 3. If not possible, you want to be above 3 and set up a second push in case they have Shield Shatter. So you want to get above Shield Shatter, which is a breakpoint of 5. 3 is referencing Sanitize. So if they forge Sanitize on 2 and then play Sanitize on 4, you need to be at least above 3 HP to take a Raw Dog Sanitize. Against Reno decks, you want to avoid having more than 4 attack on your minions unless your opponent doesn't have enough mana to play Zephyrus into Shadow Word Ruin, or they have already played their Zeph. So if they've already expended their Zeph, who cares? If they haven't expended their Zeph yet, you have to play around Shadow Word Ruin. You don't want to buff your Treants more than 4 attack. So you can have a board full of 4/4s and say, all right, this should be fine. At 7 mana, Zeph also offers Chaos Nova as a possible board clear. So it's worth specifically leading up to turn 6. Past turn 6, I think you just put on the gas and try to end the game. Against Reno Hunter, you do more of the same, but don't buff beyond 4 HP, which is enough to withstand most of their clears. That way you can bait out Dreadscale Bloom, a Dreadscale Bloom or Starfish play and rebuild the board once they've used their best clears. So we're trying to only buff enough to just sort of let the opponent feel comfortable. They waste a clear, we build back up. They waste a clear, we build back up as best as we can. Matchups, and this is where it's interesting. Your favorite matchups are Nazmani Priest, Astral Communion Druid, Reno Priest, Dungar Druid, Barnes Druid, and a large majority of aggro decks. So as far as the Nazmani Priest goes, I see it. You go wide. You basically build fearlessly because you know they're basically going to do nothing to interact with you. You pour on the buffs as fast as you can, and you can usually aggro them down. That I totally see. Astral Communion Druid, same kind of thing. They play no early removal. Anything that sort of snowballs early, a deck like Mech Rogue, which I've played a lot, a deck like this, Even Shaman, I bet, is also pretty good into Astral Communion Druid if you get a fast enough start. Something that snowballs early makes for headaches for the Astral Communion Druid until they can respond post Astral Communion. Reno Priest no longer. Reno Priest is more of a tempo deck now. It's no longer running stuff like, you might 5 is Mass Hysteria, but they don't run stuff like Spirit Lash with Thalnos anymore. So you can usually get beyond the breakpoints with them. Dungar Druid, they do have swipe, but 2/2s don't die to swipe. You can kill 1 2/2. So you can probably build pretty fast there and sort of get under their guard there. Barnes and aggro decks make sense to me. Aggro decks you basically beat, as far as I understand, is like one giant board flood, and then you buff it up all at once, and you basically make an overwhelming situation where you're not dead on board, but your opponent is. Your unfavored matchups are Reno Hunter, any warrior deck, and Hostage Mage. We talked a lot about how you're trying to play around the clears there. We're playing around Shield Shatter, we're playing around Sanitize, but the reality is that, like, they have so many options. You're doing your best to play to outs, but you're mostly trying to maximize negative percentages. Difficult but doable: Pirate DH, Questline DH, Reno, and Call to Arms Paladin. All right. Frequent mistakes. I think this could be just as educational as anything else. Tay says she's often seen players have both Witchwood Apple and any 1-mana spell to summon a Treant in hand and play the Apple first. This is a mistake because playing either Tree Enforcements or Sow the Soil will make an immediate body which will be able to attack next turn. So she's saying if you have the choice between playing Witchwood Apple and getting 2 Treants into your hand, you're better off playing either Sow the Soil or Tree Enforcements right away. If you have to pick between the two, play one of these two right away to get a body on board immediately, and then next turn you can follow up with the Witchwood Apple and start dropping Treants that way. It's just more tempo forward. You get to trade or attack with a minion, doing it in that order. Playing tempo Blood Treant into aggressive decks, don't do it, because most of the time you don't want to spend 5/5 to develop a 2/2 that will be immediately cleared. Right? Instead, you want to keep it in your hand until your swing turn in order to draw more efficiently with Aeoponics and Beanstalk. On the opposite end of the spectrum, she's also seen players keeping Blood Treant in their hand until they could combo with it, instead of matchups where they should tempo it, like Control or combo matchups. So, against aggro, you want to be a little selective about when you play this. If it helps facilitate draw, go for it. Against control matchups, against combo matchups, you're kind of on a clock. You got to move fast. You got to play it out. You got to play the stats. Okay. She warns against overvaluing Beanstalk. She gives us a scenario to give us an example of what she means. Your starting hand is for seedlings, Beanstalk, Blood Treant, and on your first turn, you draw another Blood Treant, and on your second turn, you draw an innervate. A large amount of players would skip their turn 2 in order to wait for Forest Seedling to blossom on turn 3 and play it alongside Beanstalk instead of just using their Beanstalk on 2 and drawing 3 cards immediately. So in that scenario, if you're waiting on Forest Seedlings to get going, don't. Get the Blood Treants down, vade out the overgrown Beanstalk, go deeper into your deck, find the Aeroponicses, find the other Beanstalks, find your buffs. Got to go fast. Overbuffing the board. You need to be aware of your opponent's clears and your opponent's breakpoints are. And if you can't go above the breakpoint then of their most likely clear, you should save some buffs to follow up. So she's saying don't overcommit. And last but not least, don't get caught dredging or tutoring Cultivation too early. Cultivation is an important card, and you don't want it to clog up your hand when you can't play it yet. More often than not, you prefer to tutor other cards that help you establish a board and draw through your deck. And ideally, have Cultivation on the bottom or near to it so that you can copy it with Moonlight Guidance. So that's an interesting thing that she wants to do too. Ideally, with wave shaping, you might put Cultivation down towards the bottom of your deck. You leave it down there, and then once you've drawn enough cards, you can be reasonably confident that you have a good shot of copying it with Moonlight Guidance. You can start making Moonlight Guidance waves. I have a sneaking suspicion she's much better at the deck than I am, but at this point, I'm going to start playing a few games of it, and we'll see where we go from here. Okay. So I started out rough with this deck on EU. I think I lost like 2 or 3 games in a row. No, I think it was 4 games in a row, but it was literally my worst matchups. Hostage Mage, Control Warrior, Reno Hunter. Since then, I've been blowing out stuff like Imbue Mage. I've been blowing out a couple of other different decks. I think I got like a... Okay, so this is Warrior, so this is supposed to be an unfavored matchup.
I must protect the wild.
I'm going to keep the Blood Treant. I'm going to keep the Wave Shaping as per her requests. And I'm going to see what else I get. Double Blood Treant. So in this matchup, I think according to Galatea, I'm going to go in on these. I'm going to go in on them fast. Sorry, the deck tracker's cooking up. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, if we take the forest seedlings now, it'll blossom in a couple turns. Or I could do like the tree reinforcements and maybe buff them minions' health up. I'm going to go with the tree reinforcements, and I'm going to tutor out my boys now.
Time waits for no one.
Okay. Watching what my opponent does with their hand is going to tell me a lot. All right. We want to try and get above 3. No time like the present. I want to push damage. We're at 3 right now. It's not great, but at least we're playing around like, you know, some random like 2 mana clear, like mine stuff. Second Mark of the Lotus is just wonderful. We're now at 4. We don't get cleared anymore. We don't get cleared anymore by a simple forge into sanitize. The bad news is if they did draw the bulwark, we only have 4 points of damage, so we're going to be chipping through it. Or I have to decide if I'm going to end up playing the Umbral Owl instead. We are chippy chat up, but we get to play some aeroponics, so I will get to play this regardless. That's good, that's good. Okay. I'm going to choose to play one of the Umbral Owls and hold back the other one. This is an unfavored matchup, so if I do lose here, I honestly can't feel too bad about it, because this is really tough. Overgrown Beanstalk would be kind of nuts, especially if we ended up finding ways to get multiple cultivations, but we've only made 3 treants, so our cultivation's still at 5. Not sure what ETC he wants yet. I'm assuming it's Reno Druid. It's Reno. What's it called? It's Reno Warrior anyway. I'll absolutely go for the aquatic form. I know the forest seedling is down there. I know Sow the Soil is down there. And I know Lightning Bloom is down there. Do I get anything else that's good? Aeroponics is awesome, but it doesn't help me now. I'm going to sacrifice... Oh, wait. Oh, no. Wait. Do we get there? We're off by 1. Oh, it's so brutal. Do I put them to 1? He doesn't have enough mana to play Shadow Word Ruin. I'm going to put him at 1. We take it. If he had Coin Reno, that could have gotten really exciting really quickly. I guess he could have done Coin Zeph too, but if I put him at 1 and he did Zeph Shadow Word Ruin, that blows up my board. However, I can just hero power him down, so it was worth putting him to 1. All right, good first start. All right, let's make sure that you can see the deck tracker now. Neat. Okay. We are keeping forest seedlings, beanstalk, wave shaping, and
I
aeroponics.
must protect the wild.
We do not have wave shaping, so I don't think we're going to be keeping the aquatic forms. We have a beanstalk. Okay, their astral communion. I want to go as fast as possible. This means insta make a treant. Ideally, I think our top deck, our best top deck is probably Witchwood Apple. Probably. I might rip Moonlit Guidance and try to high roll a Blood Treant. That would be pretty OP. My opponent has kept 3 cards. 1, 2, well, 2 cards. And actually, I think they kept the aquatic too. I'd have to double check.
Time goes short.
If one of these is a Vate, they just need the Astral Communion, probably. Reinforcements. Worth. Okay. Next turn, I think I Lightning Bloom into... Or, sorry, next turn, I think I Overgrown Beanstalk and go from there. Little spooky. Okay.
Let's see what nature has in
What else did they
store for me.
keep? They kept Arcanite Revelations? Gross. They didn't lose much of value either. Alright, well, we've gotten turn 2 Astral. Can we win from here? My instinct says yes. Doesn't mean it will be easy, but I think we can. There's no AoEs they provide that makes any material difference. I'm going to hold off on the Mark of the Lotus buff for now. I could do Treant, Mark of the Lotus next turn. Sure. Are you going to go face? Or are you going to trade? Trading's kind of good for me. I have to run 3 Truants into this unless I have... Okay. Oh, so close, chat. So close. I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to trade yet. Next turn, I'm going to try and take them unawares, draw a bunch of cards, get both my cultivations, and try to win the game. The game might already be over. We'll see. I don't think I win the game if I trade. I think I have to win the game by letting them hit me and then pushing through somehow. That might not matter. They like what they have. I'm waiting for them to show what they have. Okay. A little bit of a risky line. Depends on what they get. If they get like something like Frost Mage, I'm kind of fucked. Well, that's annoying as shit. Okay. Blightfang is a disaster. Actual disaster, chat. Okay. Well, I think we start by drawing. We're going to have some really beefy owls, chat. Okay, I'm going to aquatic form first. And I'm going to try and see if there's something at the bottom that I want. Wave shaping's pretty good. Okay. Draw the umbral, and then I can aquatic. Lightning Bloom. Is so the soil lethal? I believe it's lethal, is it not? I don't think I need to go through the exercise of doing this stuff. Damn, close. Okay. Close. Did I possibly miss a lethal? Maybe. They can only destroy 1 or 2 of my treants, which is the good news. The bad news is they are also top decking their own value bombs from this point out. I'm going to be interested to hear how Tay would have changed, how Tay would have done that turn. Sure. What fresh hell now? What'd you get off the wave shaping, dude? They left up a 7/2 owl, which is an interesting decision. So I'm interested to see what else they have. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. How many taunts are you going to make? 3 is killer. Okay. Can I break through 3? I might be cooked. Looks pretty cooked to me, chat. Lost all my rushers. I had that one push. I'm interested to see if I could. I'm interested to see if I could have done that last turn better and pushed 2 more damage someplace. It wasn't. I don't think it mattered. I don't think I needed to Frost Lotus the turn before. We made it pretty close considering that was a turn 2 Astral Communion. The opponent did help us by choosing some interesting lines. Okay, another warrior. So because I have Beanstalk, I'm going to keep the apple. And I have 4 seedlings. That's good too. So I can start with Witchwood Apple. I can start metering out the treants, and then I can do 4 seedlings into Beanstalk and draw a bit. Oh, it's a rogue. We've been had. Okay. Okay, if they want to trade into my treant, that's fine with me. I'm going to start dropping Witchwood Apples next turn. Sure. Alright, this tells us that they are probably Reno. Typically it's Reno. Okay. Do I want to commit to Coin Treant because it means that I can Frost Lotus Seedling, Treant, Bloom, draw a shitload of cards? I think so. I think I'm going to play hard for board. So next turn is 1, 2, Bloom, Beanstalk, and we'll see what we draw. We probably draw a shitload. Lightning Bloom is useful for the opponents. I don't know if anything else is. Oh, okay, sure. But I can make mine bigger.
Never bring a sword to a fish fight.
Right now, they seem to be perfectly happy setting a pattern where they just sort of mirror me. I think as long as they're mirroring me, I think I'm going to win. And then they need to do better than that. This seems like a fine matchup to tempo out a 2/2. I would very much like a Vate off of this. Bloom is acceptable. Okay. All right. We're going all in on this turn, chat. If they have Zephyrus to come up with a clear for next turn, we are big sad, but we are all in. We are sold out We're double overloaded. We're going to have to do something with the Moonlink Guidances the turn afterward on 5 mana if we're going to do anything. Breakdancing that seems a bit desperate. Sure.
Never bring a sword to a fish fight. Never bring a sword to a fish fight.
Okay, do I want to protect... Do I want to protect a 3/3? I'm going to say yes. Maybe I'm not supposed to. Next turn, we can Moonlit Guidance, and then we can Moonlit Guidance, and then we can Mark of the Lotus. So maybe we find either Aeroponics to get going again, or some Umbral Owls and some buffs, and then we go nuts. They used a lot of fuel. That was basically their entire hand. They're either uncaring, or have Zephrys, or can't do anything. Can't do dick. Okay. Okay, this is nuts again. I'd love to find my Vates. We find my Vates. Very good. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. They do run Zephrys the Great. I'm going to Vate, Mark of the Lotus, and then I'm going to drop the Owls, and I'm going to do that to play around Shadow Word Ruin. Because that's I think the only way they really beat me this game is if they get Shadow Word Ruin. They can also always do, like... They could always do Trickster, Saladrasil, 2 mana AoE, and puts them at 6. We're good to go. The fun part about this deck is the risk reward, like how much you actually sell into a board becomes kind of thrilling. I don't know. You can make some big brain plays too. I played against the Seedlock earlier, and they were at 25 health, and I had 15 attack on board, and I actually opted not to swing because I knew if I put them underneath 20, they could play their Molten Giants more readily for a broom swing turn, and they just didn't. They did in fact have Molten Giants, but they expended too many resources. They couldn't figure it out. Okay. I don't know if I want to keep both Aeroponics and Forest Seedlings and Overgrown Beanstalk, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to believe in my ability to make lots of treants. When in doubt, we could always Vate. Vate and Overgrown Beanstalk. It's not great, but it's probably never that. Oh. Well, let's just draw... Let's listen to the guide, and let's just go ahead and draw some cards, huh? Seems good to me. Looks like it might be Nazmani from body language so far. By body language, I mean what they're doing with their cards. Be nice to bag one. Okay. I'm gonna choose to draw an extra, maybe make another one. Cultivation's at the bottom. We are okay with that. More Sow the Soil.
I don't have enough mana.
Okay, I'm going to use a Tree Enforcements. I am showing 14 power, but I can add 7 to that. I almost have lethal, but not quite. Mark of the Lotus would be lethal. I might go fishing with Moonlit Guidance, and if I find something I like, I can Lightning Bloom into some sort of attack buff. Or we can just top deck Mark of the Lotus, because we're badasses. And we are good at Hearthstone. Alright, can confirm you dust up Nazmani Priest with this. Alright, I'll try one more game. I'll do one more game. So thus far, what have we been doing? We've been not afraid to tempo out Treants to fight for board. We've been setting up Beanstalk turns. We've been making strategic buffs to not over-buff our boards so that they're hitting certain breakpoints so that certain answers become online. For example, against the Reno Rogue, we decided we would keep our owls unbuffed as 4/4s so that Zeph Shadow Word Ruin would not ruin our day. And, yeah. I don't know. It's been working pretty well so far. I'm glad people have liked the guides. This was actually one of the decks that was requested as a guide, and just like very sneakily, it is one of the best decks in the format. It has a very high climb rate. If you look, what's kind of neat, Donkey, aka HS Guru, actually tracks how quickly certain decks climb, and this is up there with Nazmani Priest as one of the fastest decks to climb with in the format, which is kind of cool. Okay, Demon Hunter is supposed to be difficult for us. We've got him Beanstalk.
I must protect the wild.
My instinct always told me I want to keep a way to make a Treant on 1. I'm going to follow that instinct and not follow the guide just this once, just because, okay, they kept 2 cards. One's to the left, so it might be Questline. Looks definitely like Questline. What are you? All right, let's see what was the other card they kept. Very interested to see. Next turn's kind of neat. I'm hoping for another way to make a Treant and then play waveshaping, and then we can do Forest Seedling, Coin, Overgrown Beanstalk. Still haven't seen what this is. It might be the weapon, the lifesteal weapon. I'll take the Overgrown Beanstalk. And then I'll take the Mark of the Lotus. Cool. That was a neat turn. I don't think it's worth buffing anything yet. Next turn we can do Blossoms into Coin, Overgrown Beanstalk. Okay, so they kept a portal. I can buff the portals and make them hard for them to remove. That's kind of funny. Okay, they did not high roll an answer to my Treant. Ooh, and we're going to pop off a little bit. Okay. Let's draw a shitload of cards, chat. Maybe some Lightning Blooms and some Vates. Yeah, some good shit. Okay. Let's see what else. If I play a Sow the Soil, into this, that seems pretty good. I played the Sow the Soil. I played the Sow the Soil to make the cultivation 1 cheaper. I can play the double Mark of the Lotus next turn as just sort of surprising little burst. if I absolutely feel the need to, like, if they clear a couple more of my Treants, I could always do an overgrown Beanstalk. Well, not next turn, because it looks like I'm in a little bit of mana trouble with the overgrown. But I think this game is over. I don't think they have an answer to this, really. The Owl's actually at an interesting point, because the Owl's at a 6/6, so the Owl could, in fact... Oh, no. Well, that's rude. Brutes? Do 2 Brutes save you? I don't even know if 2 Brutes save you. Takes off 8. You have another Brute. I am not respecting anything you do, though. I am going to just put it up in your face. Okay, we have other Umbral Owls in the deck. So let's say... Doesn't matter. Okay? And that's Treant Druid. Alright, fun, miracle-y, token-esque deck. Very strong, very powerful, great blowout turns, and super, super, super freaking cheap. I'd like to say a big thank you to Galatea. I'm going to copy and paste every single one of her words into the description so that you can read it straight. You don't have to take it from me. I've just sort of expounded on it a little bit. I'll make sure that I add some timestamps so that you can fast forward to certain matches, or you can see what the mulligan or what the breakpoint strats are. And if you enjoy this content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. We'll do more of these guides. We do meta reports. We'll probably do a meta report. I have to double check. We had one last week. We're getting close to coming up one next week. And yeah, hope you enjoy the content. Take care.